When is the UK car manufacturing industry not really a UK car manufacturing industry? And how's it doing? Well, the BBC asked this very question about 6 months ago with the headline, "The UK car industry is at a tipping point. Can it be saved?" And the answer might just shock you. This is Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave. Now, we need just a quick history. You see, way back in the 60s and 70s, we did have a serious car industry. And that settled down really mainly to just two major companies, that's Ford and Vauxhall. Output hit an all-time peak in 1972, 1.92 million cars manufactured. Fast forward, and our best peak this century is 2016 at about 1.75 million. And that's crashed down to about 750,000 in COVID, and we're pretty much stuck there today. In March this year, our rolling year total forecasts were unlikely to break 1 million, probably end up nearer 750,000 again. Well, it's about this time manufacturing in giant plants like Ford at Halewood and Dagenham and Vauxhall at Ellesmere Port Luton began shrinking due to globalisation. The production speed increased, but that was increasingly to do with bits being made elsewhere, especially in Europe. Engines, for example, for Ford were regularly made in Germany or Romania and shipped complete to the UK. So manufacturing gradually became assembly. But that idea of buying in from abroad really launched when the Japanese arrived here. In the 70s, they arrived with laughably pathetic cars like the Datsun Sunny and Cherry, or Toyota with their Corona. Nobody wanted them, but they caught on because they were economical and cheap. Luckily, they improved, and with a decade or so, they're finally making cars that we did want. The rest, as they say, is history. But in the late 80s and 90s, they also effectively stopped importing whole cars and switched to making them in the UK with Honda, Toyota and Nissan. Nissan, by the way, just renamed for a better image from Datsun. Again, that's initially meant importing bits from Japan and assembling them here, just like Ford and Vauxhall, before reversing our industry trend and switching to manufacturing them over here. In effect, our UK car manufacturing was mainly Japanese. And that signalled a bit of a boom. Yeah, not back to the 70s levels, but very healthy nonetheless. But behind the scenes, the reason for the move by the Japanese was twofold. First, the UK was a huge and well-respected market. But second, as we were part of the European Economic Union, the common market, it meant that those Japanese cars made here could be exported tax and duty-free to anywhere in Europe. And that was particularly attractive to Japanese companies because they couldn't do that themselves. The UK became an important exporting hub until we ballsed it all up with Brexit. Well, like it or hate it, Brexit meant we were no longer in the EEC, could no longer export tax and duty free to them. But also by then the Japanese had built their own factories of their own in Europe anyway. That successfully bypassed the taxes and duty on their own. They no longer needed us to the same extent. So even though we do have the second largest car market in Europe, behind Germany, occasionally ahead of it, it was tiny compared to the whole of Europe. And that signalled the end of the Japanese. Not immediately, but it's going down steadily. Their factories no longer made cars for Europe to the same volume in the UK, so were now hopelessly oversized and therefore grossly inefficient. While the European factories became more efficient and they started exporting cars into the UK. Well, today our car manufacturing it's about at half what it has been at for the last 60 years. More importantly, it's becoming smaller and smaller by the year. Until, and this is the incredible irony, Japanese factories are now starting to close down. Some have switched to EVs, like Nissan in Sunderland. Others haven't, like Honda in Swindon. Many found the COVID interruption was the final straw, whatever they decided, and factories shut down anyway. Now, while some fell by the wayside, others, like Nissan, bucked that trend initially and went all in on EVs. They started in 2012 with the Leaf, and they were instrumental in kicking the EV market into action in the UK. But it was half-hearted as they concentrated on their Micra, Duke and Qashqai petrol and hybrid cars. The Leaf continued in production, almost unchanged apart from battery size, till the competition started launching new EVs that were much better and much cheaper. Well, the Leaf had already done its job, but they persevered with dwindling sales until it got so bad they decided, yeah, it's got to go. They needed a refresh, and they also needed to electrify everything, including a new Micra, Duke and Qashqai. But they were way too late. The Leaf sales were down to almost nothing. The Micra only launched this year, and the Duke and Qashqai not due out for launch until early 2027. Besides, the Micra EV was made abroad, not in the UK, in the same factory as the Renault 5 using the same platform. So that offered no advantage to manufacturing in the UK. Well, the share of petrol, diesel and hybrids in the UK dwindled and continues to dwindle further each year with the drive towards 100% electric. And all Nissan had was the ageing Leaf. That was certainly not enough to keep Sunderland going until the 100% electric Duke and the Qashqai came online. So Nissan found the simple answer. They shut down one entire production line and they're now selling it to the Chinese. Well, they were going through what the Japanese had gone through 30 years ago. First, the Chinese were importing kits made in China and being assembled here. Then they began joint ventures with existing but struggling UK and European companies, desperate for money, to finally manufacturing here in the UK. The list of Chinese manufacturers talking to, making deals with UK car factories is growing by the day. While it sounds like just a few names like SAIC, BYD or Chery, these are all, in fact, giant corporations with multiple companies all making or selling really great EVs at incredibly low prices. Chery, for example, sells under its own brand, alongside Omoda and Jayco and Lepas and Jetour. SAIC owns MG Motors. No, it's not British. IM Motors, Wuling and Maxus. And don't worry if you've not heard of some of these. I bet you've never heard of Jayco last year. Well, in Sunderland, Nissan is shutting down one of their only two production lines, transferring the all-new Leaf together with all the new 100% electric Duke and Qashqai over to that one line. They're said to be in talks with Chery over the fate of the other production line. It's looking likely it'll sooner or later just begin making Chinese EVs for the UK market, rented out by Japanese. Yeah, and in a strange twist of irony, it seems our very own PM, Keir Starmer, is in talks with Europe about increasing cooperation and trading now that big chief Sunglow Orange Face has failed to smoke the peace pipe with him. In fact, war drums are sounding increasingly loud. Could we, once again, become a major manufacturing centre for exporting to Europe, only this time with Chinese cars? It might now look to some that Starmer has done exactly the right thing in not imposing tariffs on Chinese EVs and instead forging closer ties. Could President Xi, in fact, save our UK car manufacturing industry? Well, it's not just Chery. Ford over here seems to think so as well. They've already got several joint ventures with Chinese EV companies. Chery also does, as they're in advanced talks to do just that with struggling Jaguar Land Rover. They have high demand for the top of their premium model Range Rovers, but they're suffering massive supply chain shortages. Read for that, short of money. Could Ellesmere Port simply switch to making Chinese versions of the popular Range Rovers? They already are with the BYD Tang, XPeng X9, Jayco 5, even the Volvo EX90. Yeah, those are Chinese too. While many have switched production to Europe recently just to beat the tariffs, some of those are still made in China. Well, that would be a wake-up call for what many regard as the last remaining truly UK-owned car factory. Well, in fact, Jaguar Land Rover is owned by Tata, an Indian company, but they've got a factory in Coventry. Now, wouldn't that shake up the scene? A Chinese look-alike version of the ever-popular Range Rover outselling the actual Range Rover. Oh, by the way, if you order one of these Chinese copies at the moment through Octopus, you get 8,000 free miles of home charging. Well, we might one day see a recovery in our car industry, although with increased use of automation and robots, the employment scenario doesn't look at all healthy. Some Chinese companies, along with Tesla, are already designing what they call dark factories, which need no heating, no lighting, well, in fact, no humans. It sure looks like the once dominating industry is likely to fade away to virtually nothing. I'm Dave, at the end of an era.